institute's long years of operations, the institute does not have an enabling law to strengthen and entrench its core mandates, NEPA's activities and strategic contribution. To highlight some activities and important contributions of this institution to the nation's education sector in the last 30 years of its existence. NEPA staffing. The institute has in place a total administrative and academic staff of 25 drawn from the six geopolitical zones of the Federation. NEPA library. The institute's library holds 1,537 titles, has linked with Book 8 International. The institute's documentation center has 4,000 titles and subscribed to ELD 310 electronic databases, training and research. So far, Mr. President and the colleague, the institute has conducted 310 training activities up to July 2019, from a total of 104,123 participants from educational planners and managers, while it has also in recent years been involved in a number of research activities initiated and sponsored from outside, including production of academic journals, monitoring of consultancy projects in selected states in Nigeria, organizing annual conferences on research and innovation for national development, etc. Fundamental objective of the bill. The fundamental objective of the National Institute of Education Planning and Education Bill are as follows. 1. To provide innovative planning and management strategies for nation's education sector. B. Develop and monitor criteria for improving educational policies and practices in the country's education system. C. Promote a culture of evidence that will guide continuous improvement in education service delivery at all levels of education. D. Provide systematic training for efficient application of planning and management strategies for educational personnel in target areas of need from time to time. C. Disseminate information, including the use of ICT to enhance efficiency and productivity in meeting emerging challenges in the nation's educational system. The advantages of the bill. The bill, if passed to law, will 1. Provide enabling legal and legislative instrument required in the strategic operation activities of NEPA. B. Improve the quality of educational training and research provided by NEPA. 3. Improve funding for the training of educational professionals. 4. Bridge the manpower deficit being experienced in the education sector. And 5. Provide employment and accelerate socio-economic development in the host community of the institute. Course implication. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, in line with Order 773 of the Senate Standing Order, as amended, the legislative proposal seeking to establish National Institute of Education Planning and Admission will not add any further financial body in terms of physical structures and manpower need pending the next budgetary consideration by the National Assembly. Conclusion. Mr. President, distinguished Senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I owe it a duty to reiterate that this bill is an attempt to provide an enabling legal framework for the implementation of federal government initial decision that gave back to the institute, NEPA. I therefore urge the Senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to consider passing this bill in view of many benefits it will bring to our educational system, ultimately enhance national development. Mr. President, I so move for consideration of this bill for second reading. I so move, Mr. President.
Anybody? The distinguished minority leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues,
Chief Whip. Even the chief is missing in action. No whip today. None of our whips. One is celebrating Pyrrhic victory somewhere. I think we'll appoint Senator Tolo DB. No, Samantha Demi cannot be. He's moving all over the place. Maybe we'll appoint Senator Tolo DB to be Acting Chief Whip, pending the return of Deputy Chief Whip. So you can take a seat. Aha. Minority Leader, continue.
Thank you, Mr. President. I and my distinguished colleagues, I want to support this this bill because this institute, I'm very familiar with it and know the quality of this institute. In fact, between 2005 and 2007, I was the chairman of this institute, and I know that it didn't have an enabling law, and every effort was being made to make sure that a law was put in place. So I'm very glad that today we are trying to, an institute like this could not have operated for 30 years, and yet is under the office of the head of service of the Federation. So it doesn't make really good sense. So I think that we should pass this bill with utmost alacrity so that we can bring it in line with the other educational institutions that are training our high-level manpower. I so support.
Is anybody against the bill? Those in favor that this will be now read the second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act establish the National Institute for Educational Planning and Administration and other matters connected therewith 2022, SB 832, second reading.
A bill for an act to establish the National Institute for Educational Planning and Administration and for other matters connected therewith 2022, second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Education, Basic and Secondary to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is the second reading of the Federal College of Education on Kobo, Akwa Ibom State Establishment Bill 2021. Distinguished colleagues will recall that the bill was read the first time in this distinguished chamber on Tuesday, 14th December 2021. Mr. President, you will wish to invite distinguished Senator Akon Eyakin to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Akon Eyakin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Senator Akon Eyakin, representing Akwa Ibom South Senatorial District. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, thank you for the opportunity to lead the debate on the bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Education, or KOBO, in Akwa Ibom State. Please recall that the bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Tuesday, 14th of December, 2021. This bill chiefly seeks the establishment of a specialized tertiary institution for teachers training, which would help boost education delivery in Akwa Ibom State and the nation at large. As a former teacher with more than 2 decades experience in the profession, I know that education is a prerequisite for qualitative manpower development and creation of wealth. Good quality teachers have important role to play in preparing our younger generation for their roles in national development. Teachers hold the key to the door of quality education. Therefore, quality teachers training is the sure foundation to achieving quality education in Nigeria. Mr. President, my amiable colleagues, Akwa Ibom State, in the data released by the National Bureau of Statistics in 2020, had over 500 and 83,000 out-of-school children, the highest in the Niger Delta region of the country, a situation which led the state government to declare a state of emergency in the sector and the immediate employment of 1,000 teachers to help combat the menace. Akwa Ibom State is a growing state whose population is estimated to reach 10 million in the next 15 years. We need to prepare for our future by training the trainers in education. Overview of the bill. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill essentially seeks to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Education, Okobo, Akwa Ibom State, to bridge the gap in teachers' training in the state and the country. The objectives of the college are stated in Clause 5 of the bill, which provides as follows: to bridge full-time courses, to provide full-time courses in teaching, instruction, and training. B, to conduct courses of study in education for qualified teachers. C, to plan and organize workshops, conferences, and seminars in specific fields and areas of learning as contained in paragraph A of the section. D, to undertake such other functions which in the consideration of the Council will serve the institutional goals and objectives of the college. The college would be located in Ofi, Okobo local government area of Akwa Ibom State, a serene and peaceful environment conducive for learning. Okobo is 30 minutes drive from Uyo, the state capital. The proposed location is strategic as it would spur development in the locality, which is a long-time desire of the residents. Number of clauses and parts. The bill has 3 parts and 24 clauses, including the interpretation, short title, and the schedule page. The bill has the following arrangement. Part 1 deals with the establishment of the college. Part 2 deals with financial provisions. Part 3 deals with supplementary provisions. Schedule. Conclusion. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is imperative for us to set up more schools for the training of teachers so as to tackle the dearth of teachers in the country. The importance of education as weapon against ignorance, conflict, disease, and poverty cannot be overemphasized. The establishment of the college holds huge potentials to boost education delivery in Nigeria. Please be reminded that our national objective in education is that no child would be left behind. The college will play a significant role in achieving the objective. Mr. President, the financial compendium is attached herewith. I therefore urge my colleagues to please support the expeditious passage of this bill for second reading. I so move. Thank you.
Yes, distinguished Senator Michael Nachi.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Michael Nachi. I represent the people of Boy South. Mr. President, if we look back, we will understand that the number of polytechnics established in Nigeria is greater than colleges of education, even universities. We have actually forgotten that we need to train the trainers before we talk of the training. Colleges of education should be the basic of bringing up those who will train our children at the basic levels and middle level basic. So for this bill to come up today, the establishment of College of Education in Okobo, Akwa Ibom State, I cannot do less than to support this bill to its entirety, and I so support.
Is anybody against the bill? Those in favor that this bill be now read the second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the bill for an act establishes a Federal College of Education of Pogbo, Akwa Ibom State, and for other related matters 2022, SB 842, second reading.
A bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Education, Okobo, Akwa Ibom State, and for other related matters 2022, second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Tertiary Education and TED Fund for further legislative action to report by within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is the second reading of the Bank Employees Asset Declaration Act, CAP B1, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, Amendment Bill 2022. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this distinguished chamber on Wednesday, 26 January 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Muhammad Sani Musa to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Muhammad Sani Musa.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, I'm Muhammad Sani Musa, representing Niger East Senatorial District. I stand to lead a debate on a bill for an act to amend the Bank Employees ETC Declaration of Assets, Act Cap B1 Laws of the Federation 2010, and for related matters 2022, SB 900. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I'm grateful for the opportunity to lead the debate on this bill, which was read for the first time on the floor of this hallowed chambers on Wednesday, 26 January 2022. This bill seeks to amend the Bank Employees ETC Declaration of Assets Act, Laws of the Federation 2010, and hence bring it in conformity with the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, as well as resolving certain anomalies brought about by present-day realities and best practices in our financial system. It will provide the necessary legal framework regarding assets declaration of employees in financial institutions, pension fund administrators, stockbrokers, and insurance firms, and ensure that their employees' assets declaration are regulated by the relevant and statutory regulator of the specific sector. The statutory regulators for the various sectors are the Central Bank, National Pensions Commission, Securities and Exchange Commission, and the National Insurance Commission. Background of this bill. On 16 March 2021, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, announced that all employees of financial institutions, including banks in Nigeria, must declare their assets before 1st June 2021, in line with the provisions of the Bank Employees ETC Declaration of Assets Act 1986, the EFCC order. The directive elicited several debates as to who the appropriate authority was and the status of the bank workers and bank casual and part-time workers. the Bank Employees Declaration of Assets Act, BEDA, expressly states that all manner, title, and types of workers in the bank and financial institutions are to declare their assets. The Act covers all employees of financial institutions in Nigeria and those in their foreign branches. From the bank executives to cleaners, drivers, messengers, and the last person on their chain, whether in full or temporal appointment. By the provisions of the Principal Act, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, then, being the appropriate authority, was given the responsibility of keeping completed forms of assets declaration by employees of banks and customs service. Then the Secretary to the Government of the Federation had the combined functions of the present head of service of the Federation as well as the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Whether those records of assets declaration were kept as prescribed by the Act or not is yet to be ascertained. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, another cogent reason for this amendment is that the Bank Employees etc. Declaration of Assets Acts, hereinafter referred to as the BEDA Act or the Act, was promulgated on 26 September 1986, 35 years ago. It is lawful, valid, and operational in all parts of Nigeria. But however, certain provisions in the Act have been overtaken by the 1999 Constitution as amended, with the creation of the Code of Conduct Bureau, which came into effect 13 years after the Act. This therefore justifies the amendment, whereby the definition of the appropriate authority is identified, as well as bringing the provisions to conform with the present-day realities as contained in the 1999 Constitution as amended. Purpose of the bill. This bill seeks to extend the application of the Act to employees of other financial institutions which have emerged as key players in the Nigerian financial sector over the years, such as pension funds agencies, insurance firms, stockbrokers, etc., etc., and to monitor the financial activities of these officers to ensure that their lifestyle reflects their earnings and to discourage them from engaging in corrupt practices. It also seeks to unburden the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation of the responsibility of keeping records of declared assets by Nigerian Customs Service and bank workers, and transferring same to the relevant regulator of each industry. Furthermore, the provisions of the Principal Act mandate the Comptroller General and other employees of the Nigerian Customs Service to declare their assets to the Secretary of the Federation. However, this amendment will cure these inconsistencies and conflict with the 1999 Constitution as amended, which requires that all public servants, including employees of the Nigerian Customs Service, must declare their assets to the Code of Conduct Bureau. It will therefore also amount to a duplication of duty if employees of the Nigerian Customs Service still declare their assets to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation as prescribed by the Principal Act. The bill addresses this anomaly by removing the employees of the Customs Service from employees which the Act applies to. Conclusion, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this amendment will certainly bring certainty and clarity and also deepen our constitutional mandate in making laws for the good governance of our dear country and also strengthen our democracy. Mr. President, in compliance with Order 773 of Senate Standing Order 2015 as amended, this proposed amendment has no financial burden to the Treasury of the Federal Government if passed into law. Thank you for your kind attention.
Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I rise to support the central intendment of this particular bill, but I just want to briefly draw attention, to the issues that I think it should address. The Code of Conduct Bureau is mainly, and tribunal is mainly for public officers and public office holders. Therefore, it has nothing to do with those institutions that are concerned in the financial sector of the economy. So that's not the direction. I think the direction of the bill should be how to capture the code of conduct of those in the financial sector by referring them to the institutions that we have in the financial and the corporate sector. And these institutions are the Central Bank of Nigeria, the National Insurance Commission, the Pension Commission, Corporate Affairs Commission, and Exchange and Securities Commission. How you work out the bill to make sure that those institutions will remain responsible for the operators within those systems now is what you have to go and write the bill. For you to rely on the issues of having the Code of Conduct Bureau to look into affairs of those who are not in the public sector is going to be a misnomer. So I hope that if this bill passes the second reading, with the grace of my colleagues, the focus of the bill should be directed to these other commissions that normally regulate the affairs of those operators in these sectors. Thank you very much.
Is anybody against the bill? Those in favor that this bill will be now read the second time, say aye. Those against, any that is Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the Bank Employees etc. Declaration of Assets Act B1, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and for related matters 2022, SB 900, second reading.
A bill for an act to amend the Bank Employees etc. Declaration of Assets Act B1, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and for related matters 2022, second reading taken. And the bill is referred to the Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions for further legislative action to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth order of the day is the consideration of the report of the Committee on Aviation on the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau Establishment Bill 2022, Senate Bill 197. Mr. President, distinguished senators will recall that the report of the committee was laid on Wednesday, 8th December 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Smart Adeyemi, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the consideration or for the consideration of the report. Mr. President, I think we have noticed a problem in this because this report is already before the. This report is already before the committee of the whole. So the prayer should be to request the Senate to convene the committee of the whole to continue with the consideration of the report of the committee instead of bringing it de novo.
Where are the copies of the report? Where are the copies? Because we are supposed to go into the committee of the whole to continue. We stop somewhere. Yes. So, Leader, you move the motion for the committee of the whole.
So I would like to move the motion that the committee, the Senate reconvenes the committee of the whole to continue with the consideration of this report. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate resolves into committee of the whole to continue with the consideration of the report of our committee on aviation, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clark, where did we stop? 21. 21 is on page 24. So those in favor of clause 21? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished colleagues, the issue raised in the last sitting was this clause 21 is saying the Bureau shall not later than 30th September each year or other dates stipulated by law or policy, order. Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, I said the Bureau shall not later than 30th September each year or other dates stipulated by law or policy submit to the National Assembly through the minister. And I said there is an issue with that because it says through the minister an estimate of expenditure or income of the Bureau as approved by the budget for the next fiscal year for incorporation into the national budget. I think I said it is the president that normally forward these things to the National Assembly, not the minister. So I thought the wording, except if I'm wrong.
My understanding is slightly different. The Bureau, the DG or whoever he is, cannot submit to the president, cannot forward to the president. The president, yes, is the one that lays the budget estimates, but it's only the minister that will take it to the council to defend it at the council before the president brings it here. I don't know, but it doesn't look harmful to me because it's through the minister that his budget, the budget of the Bureau, will come to the National Assembly. What is lacking there is to say, if you say through the president and you take out the minister, it's like the DG can now send it to the president. The DG doesn't do that. I think so.
That is to say, submit to the minister an estimate of expenditure or income of the Bureau as approved by the board for the next fiscal year for incorporation into the national budget.
By the president?
No, the national budget is what is brought. So
the president is the one that submits the budget to the National Assembly, even if you don't say it. And the minister and the DG of the Bureau cannot submit the budget estimate to the president. It's the minister that goes to the Federal Executive Council to defend or submit to the Ministry of Finance or whatever. I don't know those who know the system better. Yes, Senator Ibrahim. Go ahead.
Distinguished colleagues, I am of the opinion that what we have put in here is okay, because it has to go through the minister to the National Assembly. It doesn't matter when and how, but at least it goes through the minister. So I think it's good if we can leave the word in second.
Yes, sir. Sir, the qualification, I support Senator Gobert on this one. Because when you say through the minister an estimate of expenditure or income of the Bureau as approved by the board for the next fiscal year for incorporation into the national budget, then it presumes that only the president can bring something into the national budget to the National Assembly. So as it is couched there, I think it's better to leave it like that.
Okay, we'll leave it as it is. Those in favor that clause 21 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against any the ayes have it. Clause 22 annual reports. Clause 23. Clause 24 powers to borrow and invest. Clause 25 exemption from tax. Clause 26 service in the NSIB to be pensionable. Clause 27, appointment of investigators. Clause 28, Clause 29, and Clause 30. Those in favor that those clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clause 31 is on page 29, powers of the investigator to search without warrant. Clause 32, Clause 33, Clause 34, and Clause 35. Those in favor that those clauses stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clause 36, offense in respect of exclusion order on page 31, Clause 37, Clause 38, Clause 39, Clause 40. Those in favor that clauses 36, 37, 38, 39, and 40 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clause 41 on page 34, investigations. Those in favor that clauses 41, 42, 43, 44, and 45 on page 38 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clause 46, draft reports on page 39. Those in favor of clause 46, clause 47, clause 48, clause 49, and clause 50 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clause 51, those in favor of clause 51, clause 52, clause 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, and 60 on page 50 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of clause 51, no, clause 61 on page 54, clause 62, power to obtain information, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, and 70 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clause 71, jurisdiction on page 60. Those who are at clauses 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, and 80 on page 67 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are at clause 81, international treaties, conventions, or agreements, and clause 82 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that the interpretation on page 69 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor that the short title on page 78 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are at the schedule on page 78 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are at the explanatory memorandum on page 82 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are at the long title on page 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
I rise to move that the chair reports progress. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate reverse the plenary for the chair to report progress say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. The Senate, in the Committee of the Whole, considered the report of the Committee on Aviation on the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau Establishment, etc., Bill 2022, and approved as follows. Long title as recommended, clause 21, 22 as recommended, interpretation as recommended, short title as recommended, schedule as recommended, explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I rise to move that this bill be read the third time. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion moved by the leader and seconded by the minority leader that this bill be now read the third time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau for the regulation, prevention, and effective administration for safety investigation in Nigeria and for related matters 2022, SB 197, third reading.
A bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau for the regulation, prevention, and effective administration for safety investigation in Nigeria and for related matters 2022, third reading taken, and the bill is passed. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the 5th to the 8th order of the day are House bills for concurrence, as listed on the order paper. The distinguished senators will recall that these bills were read the first time in this distinguished chamber on Wednesday, 1st December 2021, Thursday, 30th January 2020, and Tuesday, 7th December 2021, respectively. Mr. President, for the simple nature of these bills and for interchamber reciprocity, I will, with your permission, use a single debate on these bills.
Leader, you may proceed.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I stand before you and feel highly honored to be given the opportunity to lead the debate on the concurrences of bills coming from our chamber, our sister chamber of the House of Representatives. These bills are: 1, the Chartered Institute of Forensic and Fraud Examiners of Nigeria, Establishment Bill 2022, House Bill 1220. Number 2, Nigerian Law Reform Commission Act, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2022. Number 3, National Orientation Agency Act, Amendment Bill 2022, House Bill 12, and Nigerian Institute of Chartered Foresters Bill 2022. Chartered Institute of Forensic and Fraud Examiners of Nigeria, Establishment Bill 2022, which is House Bill 1220, was read the first time on Wednesday, 1st December 2021. This bill seeks to establish the Chartered Institute of Forensics and Certified Fraud Examiners of Nigeria to provide for the control of its membership and promote the practice of forensic and fraud examinations in Nigeria. The Nigerian Law Reform Commission Act, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2022, House Bill number 14, was read the first time on Thursday, 30th January 2020. This bill seeks to repeal the Nigerian Law Reform Commission Act and reenact the Nigerian Law Reform Act 2019 in order to facilitate the effective implementation of the committee's law reform proposals and enhance its operational performance. The National Orientation Agency Act, Amendment Bill 2022, was read the first time on Thursday, 30th January 2020. This bill seeks to amend the National Orientation Agency Act N100, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, to provide for an operational framework for the global initiative of Harmony Co. to, among other things, promote inter-ethnic integration, mediation, peace building, mutual understanding, patriotism for peaceful coexistence, and for related matters. The Nigeria Institute of Chartered Foresters Bill was read the first time on Tuesday, 7 December 2021. This bill seeks to establish the Nigerian Institute of Chartered Foresters to provide for the control of its membership and promote the practice of chartered foresters. Mr. President, my respected colleagues, these bills were passed by both chambers of the 8th National Assembly. They were straightforward and have again, through the necessary legislative processes, gone through the necessary legislative process in the House of Representatives. I therefore urge you to support the second reading of these bills as we refer them to the Committee of the Whole with their permission for close consideration. I thank you, Mr. President. I thank you, distinguished colleagues.
Yes. Anybody? Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Anybody against the 4 bills for second reading? So those who vote that these bills be now read the second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. There is clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act established the Chartered Institute of Forensic and Certified Fraud Examiners of Nigeria to provide for the regulation and control of its membership and promote the practice of forensic and fraud examiners in Nigeria and for related matters 2022, HB 120, second reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the Nigeria Law Reform Commission Act Cap N118, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and reenact the Nigeria Law Reform Commission Act 2019 to facilitate the effective implementation of the Commission's law reform proposals and enhance its performance, and for related matters 2022 HB 14, second reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the National Orientation Agency Act, CAF N46, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to provide for an operational framework for the global initiative for Harmony Co. in order to promote inter-ethnic integration, mediation, peace building, mutual understanding, patriotism for peaceful coexistence, and for related matters 2022 HB 12, second reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act established the Nigeria Institute of Chartered Foresters and for related matters 2022 HB 801, second reading.
A bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Forensics and Certified Fraud Examiners of Nigeria to provide for the regulation and control of its membership and promote the practice of forensics and fraud examiners in Nigeria and for related matters 2022 second reading taken. And the bill is referred to the Committee of the Whole. A bill for an act to repeal the Nigerian Law Reform Commission Act Cap N 118 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 and reenact the Nigerian Law Reform Commission Act 2019 to facilitate the effective implementation of the Commission's laws reform proposals and enhance its performance, and for related matters 2022 second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee of the Whole. A bill for an act to amend the National Orientation Agency Act, Cap N46, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to provide for an operational framework for the Global Initiative for Harmony (COP) in order to promote inter-ethnic integration, mediation, peace building, mutual understanding, patriotism, for peaceful coexistence, and for related matters 2022 second reading taken, and the bill is also referred to the Committee of the Whole. And a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Institute of Chartered Foresters, and for related matters 2022 second reading taken, and the bill is also referred to the Committee of the Whole. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, in accordance with Order 79, subsection 1, I will move a motion for all the four bills to be referred to the Committee of the Whole for further legislative action. I so move.
Yeah, Leader, you move for the Committee of the Whole. I've already referred.
Already referred, okay, Committee of the Whole. So I move that the Senate go into Committee of the Whole for further legislative action.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate resolves into Committee of the Whole to consider all the four reports, one after another, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, we start with Chartered Institute of Forensic and Fraud Examiners of Nigeria. Those in favor of clauses 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 6, appointment of the Board of Diplomats on page 5. Those in favor of clauses 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 11, publication of registers on page 8. Those who are at clause 11, clause 12, registration, clause 13, clause 14, clause 15 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at clause 16, penalties for armed professional conduct on page 13. Clause 17, clause 18, clause 19, and clause 20, and clause 21 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of the interpretation on page 17 stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who were at the interpretation, Those who were at the short title on page 18, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who were at the schedules 1, 2, and 3, stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who were at the explanatory memorandum on page 26, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who were at the long title on page 1, stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I rise. We have to go through the
Next report is Nigerian Law Reform Commission Act, repeal and enactment. Those in favor at clause 1, clause 2, clause 3, clause 4, clause 5 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Those who are at clause 5, clause 6, clause 7, clause 8, clause 9, and clause 10 stand part of the bill, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 11 is on page 7. Power to accept gifts. Those in favor of clause 11, clause 12, clause 13, clause 14, and clause 15 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the interpretation on page 8 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the short title stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the explanatory memorandum on page 8 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the long title on page 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Next report. The next report is National Orientation Agency Act Amendment Bill. Those in favor at clause 1, clause 2, clause 3, clause 4, clause 5 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. What type of report is this? Distinguished colleagues, I will take this report again, please. Those in favor of clause 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of clause 2 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the short title stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the Schedules 1 and 2 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the explanatory memorandum on page 17 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the long title on page 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. And then the final report. The final report is Nigerian Institute of Chartered Foresters Establishment Bill. Those who are at clause 1, clause 2 functions of the institute, clause 3, clause 4, clause 5, clause 6, clause 7 functions of the council, clause 8, clause 9, and clause 10 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those who are at clause 11, power to invest on page 4, clause 12, power to borrow, clause 13, clause 14, clause 15, clause 16, clause 17, clause 18, clause 19, and clause 20 on page 9 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor at clause 21, 22, 23 on page 12, 24 tribunal, 25, 26, 27 penalties for unprofessional conduct, 28, 29 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the interpretation on page 16 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the short title on page 17 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the schedule stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Those in favor of the long title on page 1 stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I move that the chair reports progress.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the Senate reverse plenary for the chair to report progress say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the Chartered Institute of Forensic and Fraud Examiners of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2022 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended. Long title as recommended. Clauses as recommended. Clause 1 to 21 as recommended. Interpretation as recommended. Short title as recommended. Schedules 1, 2, and 3 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. The Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the Nigerian Law Reform Commission Act, Repeal and Enactment Bill 2022 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended. Clause 1 to 15 as recommended. Interpretation as recommended. Short title as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. The Senate in the Committee of the Whole also considered the National Orientation Agency Act Amendment Bill 2022 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended. Clause 1, 2, and 3 as recommended. Short title as recommended. Schedules 1 and 2 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. The Senate also in the Committee of the Whole considered the Nigerian Institute of Chartered Foresters Establishment Bill 2022 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended. Clause 1 to 29 as recommended. Interpretation as recommended. Short title as recommended. Schedules 1, 2, and 3 as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I rise to move that these bills be read the third time. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that all the 4 bills be now read the third time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act established the Chartered Institute of Forensics and Certified Fraud Examiners in Nigeria to provide for the regulation and control of its membership and promote the practice of forensics and fraud examiners in Nigeria and for related matters 2022 HB 1220, third read. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the Nigeria Law Reform Commission Act, Cap 118, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Nigeria Law Reform Commission Act 2019 to facilitate the effective implementation of the Commission's law reform proposals and enhance its performance and for related matters 2022 HB 14, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the National Orientation Agency Act, CAF N46, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, to provide for the operational framework for the Global Initiative for Harmony course in order to promote the inter-ethnic integration, mediation, peace building, mutual understanding, patriotism for peaceful coexistence, and for related matters 2022 HB 12, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act established the Nigeria Institute of Chartered Foresters and for related matters 2022 HB 801, third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Forensics and Certified Fraud Examiners of Nigeria to provide for the regulation and control of its membership and promote the practice of forensics and fraud examiners in Nigeria and for related matters 2022, third reading taken, and the bill is passed. A bill for an act to repeal the Nigerian Law Reform Commission Act, Cap N 118, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Nigerian Law Reform Commission Act 2019 to facilitate the effective implementation of the Commission's laws, reform proposals, and enhance its performance, and for related matters 2022, third reading taken, and the bill is also passed. A bill for an act to amend the National Orientation Agency Act, Cap N 46 Laws of the Nation of Nigeria 2004 to provide for an operational framework for the global initiative for Harmony Corps in order to promote inter-ethnic integration, mediation, peace building, mutual understanding, patriotism for peaceful coexistence, and for related matters 2022, third reading taken, and the bill is also passed. The bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Institute of Chartered Foresters and for related matters 2022, third reading taken, and the bill is also passed. Congratulations to all of us for this concurrence, and we have been concurring consecutively since the last 2 months. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, having concluded today's proceedings, and the Deputy Senate President is going to say the prayer of the closing prayer. Having concluded today's proceedings on the order paper, I hereby move that the Senate adjourn until tomorrow, Wednesday, 16 February 2022 at 10 a.m. prompt. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I so second.
Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. Even if it is an arrears, I should wish all of us very good Valentine Day. It's belated, I know, but it's better late than never. I'm sure our spouses understand the kind of challenges we go through here in the National Assembly, and we want to thank them. We want to appreciate our spouses and our families for giving us all the support and understanding, especially our wives. They know that we have to be somewhere else most of the time when we're supposed to be at home. We don't go anywhere else. We go for committee meetings. We attend party meetings. So we thank you for your understanding. With those remarks, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do adjourn till tomorrow, Wednesday, the 16th day of February 2022 at 10 a.m. say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. You can stay there, Senator Tinubu. The Senate is hereby adjourned till tomorrow, Wednesday, the 16th day of February 2022 at 10 a.m. prompt.